into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Let's go! Everybody, welcome on in to the AfterBuzz TV After Show for Billions, Season 1, Episode 1, the series premiere episode, just called the pilot. I am your lead host, Frank Maiorana. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. And I am joined by the most beautiful panel in all of AfterBuzz.
Collective
We're just,
you know how to win over the ladies.
I'm just so amazing. First of all, let me introduce the ultimate people person. It's Andrea Fasano.
He did it. He went there. Yes. Hey guys, I'm Andrea Fasano, and you can tweet me at Andy Fasano on all social media actually, Instagram, Periscope, and Twitter.
Awesome, we got the whole board covered there.
Absolutely.
And then also, of course, the former Miss New Mexico USA, Alinna Vission.
How awesome is that?
Thank you. You guys can find me on social media, all of them, like she said, at Alinna Vission. That's ALINNAVISSION.
Cool. Thank you all for tuning in for this week and for every week. We will have an after show for you here after every episode. Now, this episode premiered a couple weeks ago. They released it online early, so we all got a chance to watch it 2 times at least.
Love that.
And we love it. But what we'll do at the beginning of every after show is do our segment called social media shoutouts. So use the hashtag ABTVBillions and reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, on our YouTube page for our after shows. And at the beginning of every week, we'll go through your comments and highlight the ones that we thought were the best at the beginning of every show. But obviously, they didn't know that for this week, so you AfterBuzzers out there can start tweeting away, and we'll start that next week. So, first of all, I want to start the show with your favorite thing about this episode. Andrea, start it off.
Oh my gosh, I don't know exactly what to say. There's so much that I think my favorite thing is the fact that this is gonna be the next hit show.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti, and you know what? Damian Lewis, he is my favorite thing in this show.
Brody's back.
Hands down.
He is.
On the same channel.
This row.
He totally does.
nails it.
I mean, he's freaking an English guy doing a New York accent. I love it. Like, and I'm so critical. I'm from New York, you know? And I'm watching him, and I always do that, especially when I know an actor's from somewhere else and they try to carry an accent, and he's amazing. Mm-hmm. He's great.
Yeah, it comes from a really natural place.
Definitely.
I haven't, even in the higher emotional scenes, I didn't notice him dropping it at all.
No.
And it's something so small, but it's a big thing that we would notice if it was off.
Absolutely.
Alinna, what did you like best about this episode?
Like she said, everything from the opening scene to the ending scene, it caught me, it got me. I am so excited for this series.
Cool. And I'm glad you brought up the opening scene, because that's how I wanted to open the show.
Which are bookends, by the way. So it's an amazing way to bookend the show.
That's a great point. So it brings us full circle, because we aren't really revealed as to who is standing on top of Rhodes. You know, providing him some relief from his burn until the very end of the show. But I'll tell you, when I watched that the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, what kind of show is this going to be?
Totally.
They took it there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Out the gate.
Yes.
But you know what it does? It pulls you in immediately. Yeah. There's and I'm the U.S. attorney, and they're walking down the street together, and here's the guy in his office.
Right.
They started with this scene, which I thought was a brilliant choice.
But I like that they didn't continue that, like we said, until the end again. It's not like it's a dirty show where they're constantly just trying to use gimmicky stuff to kind of keep you there. They don't have to. The subject matter alone is amazing, and just the conversation we were talking about, the way they speak, and the script, they call themselves out on it. You know, each character kind of calls the other person out, and I love that.
Yeah, and I like, you just gave me an idea as you were talking that, yes, it's dirty, you know, it's BDSM, so it's a little bit taboo. But it's between a married couple. And we didn't see anybody cheating on this show, which I really liked because it has this undertone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I 100% agree. We were talking about that before. When I found out it was the wife, I was like, that's what I wanted to tell you. And I was like, I'm going to keep it.
Yeah.
I loved that it was the wife because it's a politician. It's so typical to play that role or have him play that role. And have a mistress, House of Cards and all that stuff. But the fact that it was his wife and she has so many other roles in this show, I love that.
I love the fact that it just, from the beginning, it was about power. It was her dominance over him, and this whole show is just about power and what they do with it. And so I thought it was a great way to open, and to show women also being powerful. I mean, the two wives are just... wow. Yep. They just hit it out of the park.
Well, let's talk about... I love Maggie Siff, by the way, who plays Wendy. She's incredible. She was great in Mad Men, too. She was one of the paramours of Don Draper for a long time. She's a recurring character, but it comes from such an honest place in her performances. Malin Ackerman, who plays Lara, which is Bobby's wife. I know you have some strong feelings about her.
I do. I hate this because I think she's really funny as an actress. I think she's really strong, and she stands on her own a lot in movies. And I know she was in a TV show, The Trophy Wife.
Yes.
And even there, I don't buy it from her. I think she needs to kind of stick to the movies, which is terrible to say, but I don't know if I buy her as this hard, New Yorker from Yonkers wife. And she even tries to play when she's staring down that other woman like this hard New Yorker, and I'm like, really? Are you?
Maybe you have to be from New York to get, because for me, I bought it, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not from New York. So.
I need to see more from her. I'll give it that. I definitely need to see more from her.
And that's my point overall, is that we just didn't see a whole lot from her this episode. She had one really good scene, I'm threatening you, which I really liked.
I loved that.
One of the standout lines, I thought, of the episode that she delivered.
Was awesome.
But you're right, she is really talented, really good. I loved her in the movies that you're talking about. Watchmen is still one of my favorite movies that I watch over and over. And she's great. She's vulnerable, but strong at the same time. I don't think they're going for this Long Islander.
You're right. Maybe I'm being a little too Sopranos. Maybe that's what I'm, seeing this big family and thinking that the matriarch, like you said, she is strong.
Right,
hands down, she already shows us that. But I guess I was a little, just looking for a little more.
Yeah.
And maybe she'll bring it. But she didn't have a chance to yet.
Disagree?
I think she brought it. For me, and like I said, probably because I'm not a New Yorker, I felt that her performance was great. That one scene I loved. It reminded me kind of like of a scorpion just going,
Oh, funny.
kind of stinging. And I think she did a really good job. I buy it. I want to see more from her.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And even in that scene, she said, she's not from kind of their world and all of that. She had to adjust. So
I think that's what I didn't buy. That she came. I see her in that world. I don't see her being the down home, she even says with the 8 sibs or 3 sibs, whatever she said, and I'm like, you don't use the word sibs, you just
calling
don't.
Her out.
And
Yes,
but then she saved it when she said that one line. It kind of made it up for me. I was like, all right, we'll give it a chance.
Yeah.
But it's definitely stood out where I was like, let's see where this character goes, because it's the only thing that doesn't fit for me so far.
Fair. I think that's a very fair conclusion to come, just because we need to see more layers of the onion come off before we see what happens with her.
Right.
I wanted to ask you girls, as and I am not a part of the financial world either, how easy was it for you to understand some of the terminology that they were using in this episode? Did it get to the point where you were saying, I don't know what's going on here anymore, or were you just sort of letting it wash over but then understanding the emotion of the scene at the same time?
I think for me, for the most part, I was able to understand. I don't come from the financial world at all. Right. I know that, I know the basics about stock and stock trading. I know insider trading is bad and all of that. I think there was one scene when he was talking to the 2 people who worked underneath him. I can't remember their names.
Bobby working with Wags and a couple other people.
When he was just rambling off a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, whoa, do I need to know this later? I needed to rewind that. But
I did too.
Yeah, other than that, I think it was really easy to follow. So if you don't have that financial background, you can still enjoy the show completely.
I 100% agree with her. I thought it was the kind of thing where, yes, these numbers, and I actually have just gotten involved with stocks.
Me too.
Terrible time for us right now. now, by the way.
Yes.
Which is good. I think that it leads to what this show is about, and it's kind of fun to be now in that, not in the world, we're not in the world, but we have some money invested and we're learning more about it. The numbers and the quickness definitely makes me second guess and go, oh, did I get that? She said a word Welsh, like to Welsh it. Yeah.
To Welsh on your deal.
Right. And I was like, okay, I might have to ask somebody about that later. Yeah. Or certain words like that, but I have let it go and like rolled with it and was pleasantly surprised at how much I understood.
Yeah. There's a lot of inside jokes to financial people watching this. Things like, being long or being short on a stock. Being long means you're investing long term and hoping to profit from a company's growth and an increase in the stock price. You short a stock when you don't believe in the company and think it'll go down, which has been the focus of a lot of financial movies recently. The Big Short, which is an Oscar contender now. Those guys all made money because they shorted bank stock and mortgages that people weren't going to pay off, so they made a ton of money there. So all of this is sort of in the atmosphere right now in our culture, and I think the viewers of this show are getting it in a basic way, but then letting the emotions of the scene really carry the day.
Right.
I think this show is really plot driven and really nicely done because, like I was saying, like a lot of financial shows have been done before.
Yes.
So this show is new and it's interesting, and we have great characters. One of which I wanted to talk about next was I love Rhodes. I think he's great.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti's just a man.
Yeah.
Give me your reaction to his performance.
We all knew coming into this he would be one of the highlights of this show, and he absolutely is. And it's funny because they display Damian Lewis versus his face as, the product for the show. And I have to say, this, I don't know if I wasn't doing an AfterBuzz on it, if I would watch it or had been interested right away. Yeah. He definitely brings me more interested, but the financial thing would have scared me away. And I'm so glad that I got to see it because this is the next thing. Like this show, especially knowing that I can understand it going forward, and it does give me a glimpse in that life. Yeah. It's awesome.
It's
it's a ride.
It's lifestyle porn.
Yeah.
We love to watch their big beautiful houses.
Totally.
And he's driving around in a Lambo. It's like, this is cool. Hey, you just made us another 18 million. Remember, there's a
just like
scene.
That. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, do you want to go home for the day?
I know, right? Kick up your feet.
We're done. Yeah. He just goes nice.
Yeah.
Blows him off. Yeah.
Chunk change.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I wanted to get to your thoughts on Rhodes too.
I love the character. Absolutely. I mean, he's a great, great actor. Yeah. Like she was saying, the fact that both of them are in this together, Damian Lewis and him.
Yeah. They play well off each other.
Yeah, they do. They really, really do.
And I like that he's clean. Like right away there. I mean, he's got his dirty side, but I like that as a politician they didn't come out the gates and have him be this corrupt fellow, And
that was a big reason for the scene with his dad coming to try and bargain for Skip's reduced prison sentence.
Smart.
We see that he is confident in his character and is not going to compromise. And I really like that scene for that reason, because now we are totally set up, one guy versus the other from their different points of view.
Yeah, right.
But the dad seemed to know it all along.
Yeah, he did.
I was 90% sure that you were going to do it.
I love it. He says, "Oh, you just called an audible?" I love that. And the dad's like, "Yeah, I know you."
I know you.
Yeah. And it's nice that they have a good relationship too. You kind of get that right off the bat from the after scene.
Yeah. It's not this sort of, and I hope it doesn't go this way, it's not this scattered scandal just to be a scandal, just to create a contrived mess. It's a solid family and a solid family on the other side, and two men who have completely opposite points of view, which I really liked about that. So,
and goals, different goals,
totally different goals, right? Yeah. One wants to make a whole lot of money. The other one, they both seem to have money, right?
Yeah,
right.
But
Rhodes comes from money, from what I get.
From his dad having a house out there ready.
Yeah.
His dad and his wife obviously makes a lot of money.
I love that line when she's like, I make 8 times more than you.
That scene was one of my favorite scenes between Giamatti and his wife.
Tell me why.
I thought the writing was really good, because as you said, she's strong, independent. You see that. First of all, any couple, and I love that she was revealed as his wife right after we saw her role at Axe, and then you see them go after each other, and she defends herself immediately. But I also liked it from a relationship point of view because they took it down a notch, and like
that was great.
It showed so much respect from the both sides, especially when he called her out. I'm actually surprised he didn't apologize for calling her out for the psychotherapy that she was using. But you know, that's a guy so quick to judge and a girl so quick to defend, and they brought it down, and you saw there was a good kind of healthy relationship there, and I loved that about it. So that was really cool.
What did you think about that scene?
Loved that scene. I loved the fact that she totally was sticking up and like, this is my job. This came before we were even together. You know, so she even told him, why don't you quit your job, you know? And I think a lot of times girls tend to, or women tend to kind of shrivel back.
Give in.
And give in. And she wasn't going to give in because that's what she loves. That, you know, that's what she does.
Yeah, I agree with you in a way that I like that she stuck up for herself.
Right.
But I would disagree in that I don't think that she's like totally excluding him from her decision making. Right. So when she says, let's take it down a notch, like Andrea was saying before, that is when you could feel the tension go out of the room, right? And and so the actors themselves then both calm down. And then the scene progresses, and they love each other underneath it.
Right.
So you can see, like, yeah, we're having this snippy little fight, but then underneath it, there's this love that exists.
Yeah.
But I think one of the big things that I think is going to be a problem going forward is that they don't talk about Rhodes's work, his work. And he said a line in that scene where he goes, you know, we don't discuss that.
Yep.
Right.
But then he also said something about... because I remember commenting on this in my head, and I wanted to bring it in here because he does say, you know, we don't. He said, you knew this would always be a possible conflict.
That's true.
Or a possible conflict might arise. So he is not saying it. You know, he's kind of underlyingly saying it, and I felt like that was something for the audience to see. Clearly she got it, because
she got it.
She wouldn't have just defended her job to the max and then go in the next day and say, hey, maybe I should back off on this job a little bit. So she clearly understood, and that's also
Something's
good
about to
too,
go
that
down.
communication that maybe we didn't get, but they clearly have as a relationship. So.
It seems like they have a healthy relationship.
I know. I'm hoping so.
Right?
Right?
That's what
Are you
it seems
hoping
like.
for that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I hope.
Can I say something about the Bobby Axelrod thing? Maybe I missed this, but in the beginning when the SEC guy comes in,
Spiros,
what is he saying Bobby does? Like, what's the whole spawn of this?
The whole idea is that they are trading on insider information.
That's what he keeps calling them out on?
Yes.
I didn't think specifics, and then I'm like, I get it, the whole thing. The house, and I'm like, why would the house be such a thing that you are able to like then get him for?
Well, because the ultra-rich guy is someone that's not liked right now. Big bankers are...
Right.
But can you just go after someone like that just because they're...
No, but I think the idea was that the house set into motion the initial Spiros complaint that he brought in. He said there was a pattern of suspect training. It seemed like Rhodes wasn't truly inclined to prosecute based on it because... he cares about his record.
Right.
His wife is there, so I don't know that he definitely wants to take Axelrod down until we get to the point where he decides to buy the house. You know, they're sending messages between each other. And then I think that's the match that lights the fire.
I didn't know if legally he had any reason to go after him because he bought a house.
I was like, maybe money
that's where my confusion was.
I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, trying to
like
put
pattern,
assets somewhere.
Even
I don't know.
off patterns, can you just do that off? Is what I meant to say. Like, did Spiros say anything specific? Because I knew obviously, like the inside trading is that's what the whole episode was about.
Yes.
But that's what confused me a little bit.
At the end of the episode, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no.
At the end of the episode, they say. They've, Bobby gets a call that says they've opened a case file on you.
Right.
So they've opened an investigation into that matter. So Rhodes was not even going to go ahead and open that. You know, send him a message. Don't buy this house. It's going to look really bad.
Until he saw he was guilty.
Because you need the public if you're going to prosecute guys like this.
Got it.
And there have been multiple points in this episode where they talk about not only the memorial fund, and I do want to come back to that after I finish saying this, but that Bobby had given $100 million to the firefighters of New York and had done other charitable work. So it's going to be hard for Rhodes to go after a guy like this. without a lot of blowback coming his way.
Right.
But then let's talk about the 9/11 Memorial Fund. Do you think there's anything shady there going on, Alinna?
A little bit, especially that one of the women kind of called him out. I mean, it could have just been chance that he was out of the office. I mean, there was really no way to know that that was going to be the exact time and all of that. But it did raise some questions like, I don't know. It was just a little awkward. Because it kind of would seem like a character like that would want to be the head honcho and the only partner, you know?
Yeah.
But maybe not. Who knows? It's one of those question marks.
This is why I asked you, because, you know, there's no way he could have known there were terrorists coming to... and that the partners were going to be on those planes. But it feels slimy.
But isn't it weird that it's felt almost like you wouldn't even think twice about that until this woman speaks up?
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden you're like, are they implicating
that he knew?
And foreshadowing that he knew? Like, so now he has like terrorist relations that and because him even saying, how would I to know that I'd be the only one? You're telling us that that's a really, the odds, you want to talk odds in trading and stuff, the odds of that are insanely difficult. Like, so
I don't think
there
that's
is
what
something.
it is.
I don't think so. I hope not, because that would turn this into a totally different show, right? It would take it a completely different direction.
Take it back to Homeland.
Exactly. Right. You might as well have Brody be reincarnated.
Exactly.
I knew, because I was in another Showtime show, and then I escaped and faked my death in Iran.
Right.
But that is obviously.
But it
not
is
the case.
interesting, and I think it's a good thing he's doing. And he did say to Rhodes, hey, I haven't done one press thing surrounding this. It's something I do out of the bottom of my heart, basically, and I feel I owe to them. I thought that woman speaking up was kind of weird. Like, who would even do that, even if your child was receiving this kind of money? Like, you're biting the hand that feeds you.
Yeah. How about you wait until you get the check and then you complain?
Plus, it was 9 years later, or however many years they said. Like, if this is current time,
it's current time.
Right. So so it's how many years later that you're like, now you're bringing this up, lady?
15 years.
You know, that's what it was, 15 years. So
because these kids are all high school age,
it was
right?
maybe
So they're
$99.
super young. Yeah, and now they're getting to the point where they're going to college.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know that I would speak up while my kid is getting a check for 40 grand.
Exactly.
You know?
But that's why I'm like, why didn't she say it 15 years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
For 5 years. I don't care if you said it every year for 5, you know.
That's a really good logic point to make. Well, look, let's take a quick time out. We want to thank all of you for listening. We can bring these shows to you for free because you guys interact with us. So please comment on our YouTube page. Give us a thumbs up if you like what you're saying. And then submit a review for us on iTunes and give us 4 or 5 stars. That helps us continue to bring the shows to you for free every week. We love the show anyway, so we're just going to be here no matter what.
Hell yeah. Totally.
But we prefer to talk to you as well and not just ourselves. So again, just use those social media channels to reach out to us and use that hashtag ABTV Billions. Next topic. Rhodes versus Bobby at the end of the episode. First of all, I want to, just real quick, Gail Bedecker from Breaking Bad. You guys all remember him?
I didn't watch
He plays
Neither did I.
Oh, good. I bet it was just me.
I'm from Albuquerque, so I was like,
funny.
Too close to home.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I just never got on the bandwagon. It was Mad Men time, which, by the way, there's a lot of Mad Men characters in this show, I think.
Yes.
That's like a behind-the-scenes actor thing, if you look it up. I recognize a lot of them, but I never saw it. I need to do the Breaking Bad marathon.
Well,
I know, it's terrible.
For all of you out there who have seen the show, I know you're all excited to see Gail back in the show. So anyway, we're gonna forget I even mentioned that topic. But supporting characters, who did you like the best? You know, out of the sort of 1-2 scene type of people, who made an impact on you that you want to see more of later?
We need to think about it.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Okay, you want to think about it real quick? I will go ahead then and say that a character I really liked was Rhodes' assistant attorney there, and when he goes and he has the scene with his former professor in the barbershop, that was really good, and he's the in-house counsel for Bobby Axelrod. So I love that interaction between the two, that there's power going on, like you were saying, Alinna, but they're doing it with a smile.
Or with a smile, yes.
One time you're going to come to me and get a job, and you're gonna start at 1-4.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That was just so cool, and I was
Yeah.
like, can you sign me up?
Right.
I'm ready for that one.
That was weird because it felt like he was actually giving him some like backlash, but at the same time he's like, I'm gonna start you at 1-4. Like,
Right.
okay, you're not really, being mean at all with that kind of money.
So again, two people on opposite sides, but playing along very nicely.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so do you have a supporting
Yes.
character? Okay.
Hal.
Oh,
Yes,
good
I want
one.
to see more from
Yes.
him. Like, who exactly is he?
Yeah.
We know that he works for Bobby Axelrod. He's kind of his eye in the street and all of that.
Yes.
And I want to see more from him.
That was great. They meet in a boiler room
Exactly.
underneath a building somewhere. But I think guys need to have, very powerful men need to have a trusted confidant.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you have to meet in really, really remote places in order to have a free conversation.
Right.
Because we saw during the episode that the FBI tried to send someone in to try and get him. That
Yeah,
was Dan Margolis in this show, had been arrested but then was released. And all of a sudden, he's in the office of Bobby Axelrod with sweaty hands all over the seats. What do you think about any other supporting character that you want to see more of?
Yeah, first I'll say about Hall, awesome call. I just hope that he maintains a true character, trusty confidant, because you know what always happens to those guys. You
You're
know
an
what always
informant. You work for
happens.
the FBI.
Like, they always get corrupted.
But you know what? Bobby is really good at like reading people.
Very good intuition.
So good. So good at reading people.
And it was made clear multiple times in this
Exactly.
episode. So good call
Yeah.
on that. You know who I want to see?
Who?
His youngest son.
Who's
The one
youngest
who,
son?
Bobby Axelrod's younger son.
Yes,
More,
yes.
yeah.
Adorable
More
voice,
sons.
cutie patootie, and he's got that, like, you already saw how Bobby was already training both of his
them.
sons, and he was a smarter, like, quick whip, and I love that about him, so I think he'd be really fun to see
More family scenes, I think, would be great to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
And he does play it really smart. My brother does this to me. He will play dumb on something or like text me something that he knows will get a reaction out of me.
Fall for it.
So I do, and so I relate to this show.
That's
seeing that.
good.
Yeah.
You know what about that too? The dog. Like the whole thing with
Yes.
the dog. I watched
And
it
getting-
twice until the second time. I mean, I got it. I was like, oh, he just forgot. And then I'm like, no, it's a pissing contest. He's talking about the dog being stripped of his manhood.
Yes.
I didn't, it hit closer to home the second time, or like I got the message. So that was interesting.
I did too. I thought the same thing. Oh, he's there, and someone cut his what off,
Yeah.
And the next scene is him buying the house.
and that scene is
He's
him
like,
buying
I'm not
the
gonna
house.
let that happen to me.
Right,
I'm
that's-
not gonna look that sorry.
I got that the second time because the first time you're like calculating numbers and trying to figure out really like
Right.
the essence of the story, and then I got it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, one last question, and then we'll move into predictions.
Okay.
Do you think Bobby Axelrod is guilty of something?
Of course.
Really?
Of course I think he's guilty, but what I love about the way that it's written is that it's such a good character, and you know he's doing something bad, but you still love him.
Okay.
I'm still kind of cheering for him.
Okay.
Even though
Yeah.
you know he's doing something against the law.
I think
Yeah.
Damian Lewis really likes playing the playboy character. He
Right.
relishes the moments when he can kind of be an asshole, and it's just part of who the character is.
Right.
So you definitely think something's going on there.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question will be, can Rhodes get him?
Oh,
Do
I
you
don't know.
think?
Yeah, I hands down do, and the
Okay.
reason is with that superior auto
Yes.
scene
Yes.
when the kids playing
Yes,
basketball and those two
yes.
guys come in.
That's a great point.
It was a total foreshadowing, hey, this is what's going on for the audience.
how we're
because
getting our info.
Exactly. Maybe Bobby himself has nothing
Right.
to do
He's
with
keeping
it.
his hands clean.
Totally
but his
keeping his hands
workers
clean.
Are totally
And they know
in
it. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy hands him over a bag of cash and he sees, hey, we're overproduced. We have all this. So that took me a moment too to be like, what are they talking about? But he comes back to him, or the camera comes back to him, and he's like, I have no doubt.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And Bobby knows what that means. So
There's like
that's
a
a
secret
communication.
code word.
So Bobby is guilty.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wow.
He's
Okay.
guilty.
I mean, of something. I don't know
But
when
you're-
it started.
I did forget
his
about
career.
that scene when they go to we touched on it before about the decision making that Bobby had to make with his subordinates at his son's basketball game.
Right.
But I forgot about the flashbacks, which is so right.
So
You're so
quick
right.
and so important, but
Yeah.
so much information in those little
tiny
moments.
things.
You
Yeah.
can't miss a moment of this
I know.
TV show.
I find myself getting lost in the scenes a lot of times. Like while we were just watching it just
Right.
now, forgetting that I should like take notes. I'm just like enjoying it so much.
It's like I don't want to take notes. I just have to seep and like soak everything
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
It's a good show.
absolutely. Yeah, well, I'm really excited about it. All right, well, let's move into our final segment. You know what? First, though, I want to give our listeners a challenge question to use on Twitter.
Do it.
Use the hashtag ABTV Billion. ABTV Billions. Hashtag ABTV Billions.
There you go.
And tell us if you would have bought the house or not.
Ooh.
I want to know.
Nice.
That's a good
And
one.
why?
After we found out about Paul Giamatti's plan or before?
No, knowing
Just in
what
general.
you know now.
Just in
Knowing
general.
what you
Nice.
know now, would you
love
have
it.
bought? You're a billionaire. You can do whatever you want.
Yep.
Are you buying that house, or do you go get other
like,
beachfront property?
I like this girl. We've got a good little screen over here. We'll just be like thumbs up the whole
That's
time.
right. We know where they stand.
Do it.
The A's.
Yeah,
Alinna and
exactly.
Andrea. Yes. You and JB can have your
A-team
side.
over here.
It's so the A team. But we still love you.
Yeah.
Okay. The A-team. All right, let's move into the final segment. Predictions of what you guys see ahead.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV prediction.
You love it.
Oh, you're
You
making me
love
laugh.
the
You guys are
A-team.
great. Okay. Alina, predictions for next week and beyond.
Oh wow. I think it's gonna be a while until Bobby gets caught for anything. Obviously.
Sure.
And I think a darker side will come out of
Paul Giamatti.
yeah.
You think a darker
We're
side
like
will
finishing each other's
I
sentences
know.
now.
We're so right here. I think
goodness.
so. I think I just have this feeling like he's a little bit too clean right now. Like a little, like for a politician and
know.
an attorney general, and especially that much power in the city of New York. Like, come on.
Okay.
I think it's going to come out eventually.
I hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't too,
know.
but I
gotta
think
agree.
I think it's going to a little bit, and I
Okay.
think we're not going to be able to decide kind of who's the bad guy.
Ooh.
Well,
I hate that you're right.
That's interesting. That's a really, and it's got my
Right.
mind, worrying as you're talking right there. I do find it interesting that Damian Lewis is again in a Showtime show that is all about bringing him down.
Oh, it's so true.
It's the same thing
Poor
as
guy.
Homeland, where they're always trying to bring him down. But this time, don't kill him off out there.
Oh, don't. Please don't.
Andrea, your predictions.
I'm so bad at this because I'm good as it's watching. I'll be like, I knew that was going to happen. But in predicting, there's just so much and so many ways it could go. I think we're going to see a lot more of Malin Ackerman's character more involved in Bobby Axelrod's company than we were led on in the pilot. So I think she's going to have more of a role. I think that she has too much grit to her, or they're trying to set her up to have too much grit to not be involved. I was shocked that she seemed to have no idea about the house until she saw it and she loved it.
Yeah.
But, like, I was like, you never
that
knew
was-
that was happening?
that was a bit-
$63 million?
It was a bit basic.
Totally.
Just a
For
little.
a
Thanks, hubby.
crazy house. Right. So I think that that's going to come up and that we're going to see that they have more of a partnership in this business than
I
it
could see that.
seems
Yeah.
right now.
Okay. I like those.
It's a little, if anyone's watching Blood and Oil, it's a little Blood and Oil, a little, like I said, House of Cards, but who knows?
Okay. I could see that. Yeah.
Interesting times ahead.
Yes.
Okay, so my prediction is that we will continue to see no cheating from either married couples. So
I hope so.
we will not see that because that's what makes
too.
this interesting. This is
Right.
what makes this different
I think it
than
would.
other shows.
Yeah.
Is that the married couples stay married and they don't stray. So there may be some temptation that comes along. And I think there will be more sex in this show, but I think it will be primarily between,
we
the
didn't
two
see
characters.
sex yet. We saw everything.
Yeah. We
That's
saw a
very
whole
true.
lot.
I think
There may be more peeing and cigarette burns, but
Leather
actually haven't
boots
seen
and
any sex.
whatnot. Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Who knows?
You're right. I think there will be sex.
right. Good prediction.
I think at some point. And I'm going to be right.
Yes.
Right.
Stick a pin in that one.
Hilarious.
Cool. All right, final thoughts. Anything else? that
Love
we
it.
didn't cover?
Love it. Can't wait till next week.
Cool. Yeah, me too.
Psyched
Andrea.
to be on this show, this after show, because it's like to be this passionate about this show, Billions, I'm excited. the excitement, just energy feeds off of it. The show is so energetic. It just, even in the slower scenes, you're like you said, tense, and then kind of just like on edge watching it.
Yeah, I loved each scene. I love the beginning of the episode, which draws you right in. It finishes off on a great cliffhanger to make you want to come back. And we will be back next week. That's it. That's all for this show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Until next week, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram and on our YouTube page. Please comment there and let us know what you thought. Until then, we have been Alinna Vision.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that, at Alinna Vission. That's ALINNAVISSION.
And Andrea Fasano.
Yeah, you guys can find me at Andy Fasano, ANDIFASANO. And that's Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, all the above.
Cool. And I'm Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you love this show as much as we do. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. Go out and have a blessed week. We'll see you back soon.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.